So you want to know why you don't read anymore? Well, the truth is it's much worse than you think, than you even know. So do you really want to know? Okay, good. The truth is, those books you bought that were recommended to you by some TikToker or some self-help guru, or that were on Rory Gilmore's reading list, the truth is, their books are boring. The books you have in your collection are boring, and that's why you don't read them, because you don't want to. Because every time you look at them or even open them, there's this cringe inside of you saying, I don't want this. I don't want this. And that was me too. So I have like all these books in my little library. Not these. Aren't these cute? I have all these books in my little library, and books that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be so intellectual, I'll be so smart, so self-helped. So self-helped, sure. But I have absolutely no energy to read these until finally I just realized, you know what? They're boring. They're boring. There was a book I was trying to read last month that was so boring, and yet I kept forcing myself to keep reading it, and I realized I do have that nasty habit of feeling like I have to finish every single book that I start, just like sometimes I feel like I have to finish every movie that I start. But I'm trying to get into the habit of allowing myself to walk away from things that aren't for me, but that counts for many things. So once it hit me, I was like, why am I torturing myself? I'm not in school anymore. Why am I torturing myself? I picked back up a book that I have loved since middle school. I don't even know how I got it, but it's in my collection, and it's my favorite little book. It's by Rachel Vale. The series is The Friendship Ring, and it's called If You Only Knew. Now, I have thought about this book for so many years. This like 200 pages, and I continue to think about this book so often. It pops back into my mind, and I'm like, that was such a good book. And so I reread it, and I had the greatest time of my life. I was here in my room giggling like a child, and then I was like, you know what? I need to read all of my old middle school books because they were the best. So I was reading Dear Dumb Diary. I was reading Flying Solo. I was reading all of my old middle school books. And so I still am, because I'm reading them and I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying them and I can't put them down. And I'm going back to that time when I was in middle school and I was reading into the night, into 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, and I would fall asleep reading. So all of that to say, if you can't read, if you can't read, get a teacher. They will teach you how to read. They'll teach you the alphabet and you'll learn how to read. But if you're having a difficult time reading, like, just go back to those old books. Go back to the books that you know you loved, the books that you could not put back down. Honestly, it's kind of trippy going back to these books, because there are books that I loved when I was a kid that I go back to now, and I'm like, oh, this one's kind of boring. But then there are other ones that I go back to and I'm like, no, this still hits. Maybe that's why, like, you have people who are still reading YA novels, because not all of them are trashy, not all of them suck. Some of them are actually genius. So if you're having trouble reading your books that you have already purchased, maybe it's because they're boring. And at least if you go back to the ones that you already know you like and love, you'll get back into the habit of reading and you'll be ready to read your self-help boring books. Because I also do think about this, if they are supposed to be helpful, part of reading is supposed to be entertainment, and part of reading is supposed to be education, something that you're learning. But it's hard for you to learn something if you're bored. Like, the best education is the one that you enjoy receiving. The best the best way to take in information is when you enjoy the way that you're taking it in. Like, I've learned so many words just by reading A Series of Unfortunate Events and Claude Baudelaire teaching me these things. I think it probably was from A Series of Unfortunate Events that I learned the word penultimate. It probably is because of that series that I passed many English spelling tests. It's from some of those books that I learned about certain historical events. So if you're trying to be a reader, and you're trying to be a reader so you can be in your self-help era and you can learn certain things, I think it is best to consider how it is that you're taking in the information and whether or not you're actually interested. Like, there is a part of me that is perfectly fine with having a somewhat boring book that I can just write notes off of and take the information and just have this. But there is a part of me that sometimes it's just too boring. Sometimes it's just too convoluted and I need clarity and simplicity and entertainment. So something to consider. Yeah, so if you're having trouble reading your books, not if you're having trouble reading. If you're having trouble reading, this is not a lesson on the ABCs. I am not a teacher. But if you're having a hard time picking up your books and reading them, then that's my suggestion. Try going back to the books that you loved. Period. End of story. Good luck. Also, since I am in this mood right now, I only have 2 of the Dear Dumb Diaries books. I'm planning on going back to the library and going to find the Junie B. Jones books. I probably will go back to Dr. Seuss as well. But what are some of your middle school books that you recommend? Because I think I'm just in a middle school and maybe even elementary school. I don't know. I feel like a lot of these are middle school. I don't think they're elementary. I think my family might commit me if I'm just out here reading elementary school books. But yeah, what are some middle school books that you highly recommend? Because I know for me, it's Dear Dumb Diaries, Series of Unfortunate Events, the Junie B. Jones, probably the Babysitter's Club, and maybe some C.S. Lewis, I don't know, Dr. Seuss. Oh, the Time Warp Trios. But I know that there's some that I'm probably missing. But yeah, what are some middle school books, or just your old favorites from when you were in middle school or high school? I'll even take high school. It's kind of it, but I'll even take it. Anyway, end of story. Go read your books. Bye.